Hey guys, it's me, Shane. I'm here to give you a little bit of news from Square Enix. I'm probably about 9 days late on this, but I wanted to make sure more details came out. I haven't seen any more details on this. Square Enix has actually filed trademark for three different properties: two on December 17th, 2020, and one on December 22nd, 2020. If you're not in the know, now you will be. So remember to subscribe, get more videos like this. Anyway, the article I'm going to read you comes from Gematsu.com. Couldn't find this. This was the most reputable source. Gematsu generally has really great sources. That source comes from us from Saul Romano. This was on January 11th, 2021, the year we are now, and at 12:18 p.m. I like that. I like the little timestamp on there. So, Square Enix trademarks Ever Crisis, The First Soldier, and Shinra logo in Japan, and updated. This is actually a current update. They actually did this in Europe and Canada this week. Pardon me. So, just read you a little bit. Square Enix filed trademarks for Ever Crisis and The First Soldier on December 17th, 2020 in Japan, as well as Shinra Electric Company logo on December 22nd. All three trademarks were just made public on January the 11th. All three trademarks are related to the Final Fantasy VII series, which in 2020, I want to say May, March or May, because they had pushed back the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Uh, the game came out, they had a remake. It was just the first part of Final Fantasy VII. If any of you have played it or haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII, the first disc the first disc is in Midgar, and this whole first game is in Midgar. So just like the first game had three different discs, the remake will have three different games. I know it's some point of contention behind this. A lot of people weren't happy with it, but with how much they have overhauled, it isn't just a remake. It's not just well. When you think remakes, a lot of people confuse with remasters. They're retelling the story, and they're doing some really interesting things with it. Won't spoil anything because I watched a lot of playthroughs. I'm gonna try to play this. Probably I'm gonna heavily play it on my birthday weekend, but yeah, really interesting stuff. If you don't have the game, you should definitely go get the game. So, Gematsu notes here that Ever Crisis seems similar to the name of the 2004 mobile game Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII and the 2007 release PSP game Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. I own and play that and have played that game. I enjoyed it at the time. First Soldier may be a reference to Sephiroth, the main villain of Final Fantasy VII series, and the Shinra Electric Company is an organization within Final Fantasy VII. The latest game in the series of Final Fantasy VII is Final Fantasy VII Remake, launched, I was wrong, April 2020 for PlayStation 4. In related news, Bandai Namco trademarked Starlight Box on the 21st, which sounds like a limited edition of Idolmaster series. You guys don't really care about that. That was part of the article, so I read it. They had an update that's actually happened today that the logo was trademark in Europe and Canada. I'm pretty sure it's coming to America as well. Ha, coming to America. Anyway, so I want to talk about these titles real quick. Let's talk about Ever Crisis, and I'm gonna give you a small bit of spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's an event that happens that makes that time is still flowing forward, but some events in the past actually are changed to the point where I believe that Ever Crisis is going to be a spin-off of what happened when Zack brings Cloud to Midgar. Because again, spoiler. I'm gonna keep my hands like this. Mute me if you don't want to hear the spoilers, and I'll put them down when we're done. So spoilers. Zack lives. Cloud is still in that vegetative state, and time has been warped and changed because of a boss fight that our characters have, and Zack is the reason why Cloud gets to Midgar, not Cloud waking up and grabbing the sword and taking on Zack's identity. So I believe this will be a continuation of Crisis Core, but the ending obviously having changed. This is pretty interesting to see. This is pretty great, in my opinion, because a lot of people want to see more of Zack. I have a feeling, though, that the ending of Ever Crisis if Ever Crisis is a game, I have a feeling that because of the entities that are in Final Fantasy VII Remake, they were probably going to try to course correct the events, and they might actually succeed. At the same time, Ever Crisis could be a movie, and we could see the movie where they still try to course correct. I'm one of the few people that actually liked Advent Children. I don't know why people don't like it, but whatever. I love Advent Children. If Ever Crisis is a movie, I don't care. I'll still buy it. Spoiler over. The first soldier, maybe a reference to Sephiroth. Well, for anybody who played Crisis Core, and if you played Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, the game featuring Vincent, you would know a character named Genesis. Genesis, his face model and his voice in Japan is actually played by Gact. Gact is the Japanese, basically Japanese Michael Jackson. Dude is a big music guy, big musical artist, a big musical legend over there. He actually did one of the Kamen Rider theme songs for Kamen Rider Decade. If you don't know anything about Kamen Rider is big stuff. It's big time. Gak is big time, and they couldn't really bring Genesis back a lot of times because of the his likeliness being used. At the same time, I think Gak was kind of, pardon me, was kind of holding up some things. Like he didn't want his likeness to be used in some parts, and that type of thing can spell trouble. But if they change how Gak, change how the character looks, I don't think they're going to have any issues. A lot of people like Genesis. Genesis was Sephiroth before Sephiroth, except Sephiroth is 10 times worse than Gak. If you know, you know. I think that might be a thing. I heard that Genesis was referenced in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't remember that part, but when I get back into the game, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be looking for clues and things like that. At the same time, I can see the first soldier being Sephiroth, and actually, I think the first soldier might just be the title of, the subtitle of the second part of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I can see it. Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first soldier. And Sephiroth had a big part in this first part in the first remake, which was interesting because he didn't show up until towards the end of disc one. So them putting him in there at notable times was pretty interesting. I also believe that this game, just the twists and turns this game is taking, I'm very interested in seeing what else happens with Sephiroth, especially in the second game. So I believe this is the title of the second series of the part two of the game series, and I also believe that it's gonna be Sephiroth, but at the same time it could be Genesis. You never know. You never know. And the Shinra Electric Power Company, I'm going to assume they're going to be selling more merch. When I pre-ordered the Crisis Core game for PSP, had a little game case that had the little logo on it. That thing finally peeled off after 2007, right? And I'm doing some quick math. Peeled off around 2017. So wow, like it took a decade plus for it to peel off. So they're probably gonna be making more things, making shirts, making jackets, things that are probably cost $700 because memorabilia, especially for Final Fantasy VII, is very, very, very high. If you don't know, you should look up the soldier edition of this game that I think was only sold on their website. It came with a giant cloud figure made by Figure Arts, very finely made, with the motorcycle and several other things like an art book, steel bookcase. Look at how much that cost, and look up how much some of those things cost at their website. But yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to bring to you today. I wanted to give you something. I'm still working on one of my reviews. I'm trying to get through these episodes, and honestly, I wish there was more time in the day to do a lot of things that I need to do and would like to do. But yeah, I'm very excited about what's going on with Square Enix with this. It kind of came out of nowhere that it was publicly released, but I know that Final Fantasy 16. We already saw a trailer for that for last year's. I want to say the trailers. I want to say E3, but there was no E3 because of the pandemic. So the trailers that had came out featuring Final Fantasy 16, which the battle system looks exactly like Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Things look pretty cool. Looks like you're fighting summons in there. I don't know if these things are coming out after that. I don't know if they're they're doing production at the same time. I hope they take their time. I would not be surprised if they already had 50% of part two already done, because if you know the story behind Final Fantasy VII Remake, they wanted to do so right by this game and by the fans. They went overboard with the Midgar part that they decided we're just gonna make this. We're just gonna have to break it up and make this its own game and just do this with each part. So take your time, Square Enix. Don't rush. We definitely don't want cyberpunk levels of badness. We certainly don't want you guys to mess up. We don't want crunch. We don't want any of that. Take your time. It'll be fine. We'll have Final Fantasy 16 to hold us over. And I know a lot of people still playing Final Fantasy 14. I believe that's the online game. A lot of people still playing. I hear good things about it. If it wasn't the subscription service, I'd probably be playing it myself. But I think you can play it for free up until level 60. Something to look forward to look into if you guys like playing games like that. So, once again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending your time with me. Remember to send me a comment down below. Tell me what you think of all this stuff. Are you a fan of Final Fantasy VII? If you are, what's your favorite Final Fantasy game? And who is your favorite character? And you know what? I'm going to sprinkle one in there. What's your favorite summon? My favorite game is... It's a tie between Final Fantasy VII and Tactics. My favorite character is Cloud. I love every iteration of Cloud, especially his costume design in Kingdom Hearts. And my favorite summon is Bahamut Zero. Shiva, then Bahamut Zero. Favorites. So, let me know what you think down below. Remember to comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, get notified of more great videos like this. Please remember to share the video, show everybody all the great time you're having, the news that you get. I make sure that you get the news right. Might not be fast, but it will be right. So, once again, thank you. Please remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, be good, be blessed. Black Lives Matter as always. And yeah, I will definitely be seeing you next time. It has to be Sephiroth. Sephiroth just got in the smash. Huh.